A few years ago, during a moment of vulnerability, I made a decision that I never imagined would change my life forever. I married my pillow. No, it wasn't a real ceremony or anything so extravagant, but it was my way of seeking comfort during a time of great distress. Instead of confronting my problems, I clung to this inanimate object as if it could offer me the security and love I felt I was missing. At first, everything seemed perfect. My pillow became my nighttime confidant, my refuge in nights of insomnia and unease. But soon, what seemed like a simple act of comfort turned into something much darker and more disturbing. Nights that should have been restful were filled with nightmares that tormented me more than I ever imagined. Today, I want to share with you what happened next. How a decision that seemed harmless led me to confront fears and ghosts that I had been ignoring. So join me on this journey as we unravel together the strange tale of how I married my pillow and the nightmares I should never have ignored. At first, it all seemed like a sort of joke to myself. I was going through a tough period in my life. Work wasn't going as expected, my relationships felt strained, and overall, I felt trapped in a routine of discouragement. In my desperation to find something comforting, I decided that my pillow was the only one that truly understood my nights of insomnia and anxieties. So I started talking to it. Yes, I spoke to my pillow as if it were a trusted friend. I told it about my problems, dreams, and fears. At first, I felt ridiculous, but also relieved. My pillow became my safe place, a refuge where I could unload my thoughts without judgment. I convinced myself that, at least in that space, I found some peace and solace. But, as often happens with temporary solutions, things began to complicate. The nights that used to be peaceful started transforming into unsettling scenarios. Nightmares began to appear. In my dreams, I saw shadowy figures whispering my deepest fears. Every time I woke up, I felt more exhausted and scared. The sense of security I had once found in my pillow had become a trap. I remember one night in particular that stayed etched in my memory. I woke up in the dark, with my heart pounding and a cold sweat on my forehead. In my dream, I had seen a distorted reflection of my own life, with my fears and anxieties represented as monsters chasing me. I tried to rationalize it, thinking that maybe I was just stressed, but soon I realized there was something more at play. The process of confronting my nightmares and the growing discomfort led me to a deep introspection. I realized that my symbolic marriage to the pillow was an attempt to avoid facing my real problems. Instead of seeking effective solutions or talking to someone about my concerns, I had retreated into a form of escapism that, ironically, dragged me into an even darker spiral. I began researching the emotional impact of inanimate objects and how people sometimes develop symbolic connections with them. I discovered that I wasn't alone in my experience. Many find comfort in objects when dealing with stress or anxiety. But I also understood that these objects cannot replace the need to confront our emotions and problems. My nightmares became more intense and frequent, and I decided I needed to seek real help. It was a challenging but also liberating process. I began talking to close friends, considering therapy, and facing my issues instead of hiding behind a pillow. Now, looking back, I see that phase of my life as a reminder of how important it is to face our problems head-on. The pillow that once offered me comfort became a symbol of my avoidance. I learned that true comfort and resolution come from facing reality, not escaping from it. Now that I've gone through all of this, I realize that the experience with my pillow was not just a series of disturbing nights, but a profound lesson on how we confront our fears and problems. Often, we seek quick solutions and temporary refuges when we feel overwhelmed, as I did with my pillow. But what I learned is that these refuges can become traps if we don't address the real causes of our distress. Reflecting on my experience, I realized that what I truly needed was not a pillow to listen to my complaints and fears, but to face my problems with courage. Therapy, conversations with friends, and self-analysis were the tools that ultimately helped me find a path to relief. The reality is that, just like me, many people find themselves seeking comfort in the wrong places, whether in objects, habits, or distractions. Studies on sleep psychology and the emotional impact of inanimate objects reveal that it's common to form attachments to things that give us a sense of security. These objects can be a way to manage anxiety, but they can also lead to a dependency that prevents true problem resolution. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett, in her book, How Emotions Are Made, explains how emotions are constructed by our minds based on our experiences and expectations. In other words, our interpretations of experiences, like the one I had with my pillow, can greatly influence how we perceive the world and our fears. Facing the nightmares and anxieties I experienced taught me about the importance of self-acceptance and emotional courage. Accepting that we have fears and anxieties and addressing them directly is essential for our well-being. I realized that avoiding problems only magnifies them, while confronting them provides an opportunity to grow and heal. So, looking back, I see that my experience with the pillow was a powerful metaphor for understanding how we face our fears. The true resolution didn't come from trying to ignore or hide in the comfort of an object, but from facing head-on what was causing my distress. The solution came from confronting reality and seeking help rather than retreating into an illusion of safety. Nowadays, I try to apply this lesson in my daily life. When I face a problem or anxiety, I don't look for an easy escape. Instead, I try to understand what's causing it and how I can address it constructively. Talking to friends, seeking professional help, and practicing self-reflection are now fundamental parts of my approach to emotional well-being. So, I invite you to reflect on your own life. Do you have a pillow you're hiding behind? Are there problems you're avoiding that might be fueling your own nightmares or anxieties? Instead of escaping to a temporary refuge, how can you confront these problems constructively? Think about how you can apply this lesson to your life. Sometimes, the greatest source of comfort comes from facing what really worries us. I hope my story has offered you a new and useful perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on how you face your own fears and problems. Share them in the comments and let's continue this conversation. Now that we've gone through the strange journey of how I married my pillow and the nightmares that followed, I want to offer you one final reflection. Sometimes, in our search for comfort and security, we fall into the trap of avoiding our problems rather than confronting them. My pillow story taught me that temporary refuges can mask the need for a real and lasting resolution. Throughout this experience, I learned that facing our anxieties and fears directly is essential for our well-being. Avoiding problems only magnifies them, while confronting them head-on can be liberating and enriching. True resolution and personal growth come from accepting and facing our challenges, not from escaping them. Looking back, I can see how my symbolic marriage to my pillow was a metaphor for my need to confront my own issues. The nightmares showed me that, by trying to avoid the pain, I was actually intensifying my suffering. However, by seeking help and facing my fears, I found a path to peace and personal growth. Now, I invite you to reflect on your own life. Are there aspects where you're seeking temporary comfort instead of facing reality? Is there something you're avoiding that might be affecting your well-being? Consider facing it directly and seeking the support you need. Remember, the first step towards resolution is acceptance and the courage to confront what really worries you. I hope my story has given you a new perspective on how to deal with your own challenges. If you've had similar experiences or learned something valuable from this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share how you've faced your own problems. What strategies have you found useful? How have you dealt with your nightmares, both literal and metaphorical? Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your participation and reflections are important, and I hope this video has been helpful and inspiring for you. Don't forget to leave your comment and subscribe for more stories and reflections like this.